Never mind. That's all right. I was almost playing over it, so it was almost completely inaudible. Never mind. Never mind. Hello. I am going to look at some music. What music am I gonna look at? What song? What song? What song? Not Too Human by Ava Blanche. No, not that. But we will see when I press play on this other playlist. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Oh, it's gonna be some Poulenc. Okay, so this is somewhat of a new kind of endeavour. We've had a look at Rufus Wainwright's Dream Requiem, so we're not totally averse to classical music. But on these particular ones, I think we can probably have a look at some classical music from time to time. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as an idea. And here we are. We've got some Poulenc. That says Concert Champetre, which is, the second half of whatever this album is. But obviously, we're not interested in the order of this album. This is a classical music album. Oh, and I need to change onto this seat. That makes more sense, yeah. So here we are. Now, obviously, we don't need to listen to the organ concerto in order to understand what's going on in the Concert Champetre. You can see that the organ concerto, FP 93, was actually created significantly after the Concert Champetre, which is FP 49. And then the Suite Française that ends after, Sicky Gervais, is FP 80. So that's in between both of them. So whoever's organised this album, if we can call it that, basically just doesn't care about the continuation of time, because they've just stuck 2-3 different pieces on. Anyway, we're going to have a look at Concert Champetre. I don't know anything about it, but I can see that this first movement of 3, Allegro molto, Adagio, Allegro molto. So we're looking probably at some kind of sonata form, which starts A in our, expositional section. Then we have our B section, which we can consider our development section, where we take the stuff that we heard in the first section, we develop it in a different way. It might not. And then we have our C section, which is where we remove a child from your innards. But if we fail to do that, we have instead a recapitulation, which is really closer to another A section than a C section anyway. And then we're basically playing similar things to what happened at the beginning. So let's have a look. This is probably going to be a more in-depth musical 2 hours, although the piece looks like it's only about 25 minutes, so we might get through it in no time. Turn it up as well. Oh, those are some low levels. Alright, what are we going to do about that? Let's just crank the desktop audio today. Something like that. How's that going to work? That's better. Still relatively low. Okay, this sounds quite nice actually, doesn't it? So we've got a few things going on. Relatively straightforward phrases. One bit of melody up here, jumping up a fifth, and then coming back down one higher, and then down that major arpeggio, broken chord of D major. Then we've got a low part that's going bo, bo, bo. I can't remember what it did in the second half. Let's hear it again. Wow. It's actually a D minor chord to begin with, so that's a little unexpected. But there's an F in there instead of the F sharp that comes later. So yeah, this low part that's going bo, 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 which ends on the F sharp, that's actually an unexpected note there. We started with a D minor, then we get something on the way which is akin to an E minor, but with the D still held on. And then we get that nice F sharp dominated D major chord. It's F sharp dominated, I guess, because F sharp is in the bass. Nice stuff. Yeah, so then those parts carry on. So yeah, there's these things in, well, a tenth apart, and they're going bo, bo, no, bo, 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 do, 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 do. And I think it doesn't quite go down to there. Then there's things moving a third apart like that, and then there's some other parts that are doing slightly more interesting things, but that melody is the main one. And it's interesting, after both of these phrases we're ending on the same chord, which is that D major, even though both of them sort of give us harmony that isn't that closely related to D major. It's not a huge way away, but it's not super close. What instruments have we got then? Let's have a look. Let's have a listen, because probably the instruments are going to keep the same the whole way. Well, this sounds to me like mainly woodwind. So we've got flutes, we've got clarinets, we've got an oboe, I think, and we've got a bassoon. And I think the only other thing is a low double bass, doubling those low notes, bum, 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 and it's doing it pizzicato, which means just plucking it, which on one of those instruments means quite a short note. It doesn't have the sustain like a guitar does when it's plucked. Might be a cello doing those low notes, but either way, a low string instrument. Yeah, we're quite dominated by clarinet-y sounds here, really strong nasal sounds of these woodwinds. Ah, and then some horns. Yeah, so those horns are also giving us some D major, and the other thing that they're giving us is A minor. So it feels like D is our sort of our root chord, even though we started with D minor. D major is really our sort of root chord here. And then that relationship to A minor, which we did get before as well, is sort of saying that we are in D mixolydian mode, because that A minor gives us a C, which is a tone below D. Normally for that note, if we were in major, we would have a C sharp. Gives us a slightly more folksy or medieval, or just generally less classical sounding relationship between the chords, and quite a strong mood of its own. Yeah, I think last time I talked about it, I said something about it having this sort of hope for pastures new or something like that. Moving somewhere else is where we want to go. We're not we're pretty happy, but we're not content with where we are. Yeah, so other than that last one, which I knew about before we got there, these horns, so soft, nice timbre, isn't it? And then they end, yeah, so instead of ending on the A minor, they do actually end on an A major, and that gives us that C sharp. So we're not at all playing inside a particular key. We're playing around with different versions of the same chord. Got that D minor at the beginning, which is immediately followed by the D major, and then same thing here, just with one chord in between both things. We get the A minor and the A major. Okay, it's fun play. It doesn't feel very allegro molto right now, though, I have to say. Okay, yeah, and now a harpsichord is coming in, which is not what I expected. Giving us some darker sort of harmony. Something like that. So playing around with A major and B major, B flat major, which are only a semitone away from each other, and sometimes having resonances of both together, so that is much more clashing. Everything else that we've had so far has been one chord at a time. Everything's been working with those chords. We've had some really fast chords, but each of those chord changes has been really connected across the set of instruments that have been playing it. They've all been doing the same thing. But here, this harpsichord by itself is creating some dissonance and a really different feeling to what's been happening so far. Yeah. Yeah. So there, it's not so much the B flat chord as a sort of E diminished seventh chord. No, not diminished seventh. E half diminished chord. Playing again against that A chord. They have similar notes in them, so we still have the B flat in that E chord, we still have the D, and so those are still a semitone away from that A chord. But yeah, fun. I'm going to turn up the headphones just a little bit. Which one is it? That one. Oh, is that the right way? Yeah, I think so. I've got it upside down for no good reason. Okay, this is fun, but now we're doing some more stuff like we were close to before, but just with the harpsichord. It goes very quickly between the C and the D, kind of like that, and then again playing with the sort of the C natural to the C sharp when we get to that A chord. We're all around D and A here, which is a classical thing, the 1 and the 5. We've got a lot of repetitive rhythms as well. This is going da, 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 da. And before we've had that da, 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 da. So yeah, very much the same kind of rhythm all the way through so far. So branching out a little bit there. So G minor, something like that. It's not quite the Paranoid Android bit. Let's hear it one more time. I've got a long time to spend on this piece. Yeah, I didn't explain that time. So we get that D, and then a kind of D on C, I think. So we actually do get that B flat again before the A chord. So we're not just playing with the C and the C sharp. we're also playing with that that B flat and A dissonance as well. Yeah, a lot of close chromatic intervals here. Anyway, we were trying to work out. Ah, yes, okay. That's more like what it is. Yeah, so that A chord there, we do get one. We get the G minor to begin with. Then we get yeah, that A chord, but it's got a C sharp, also an F, and then we again come to a something like a G minor at the end there. Yeah, it is just a G minor, I think. And we've got these fast kind of things happening. Something like that. Just ba-da-da, very sort of declamatory sounding thing. Yeah, E minor 7 flat 5, G minor, A. So mining the same kind of area. Until mysterious extra B out of nowhere. Who saw that coming? Perfect cadence to E major out of nowhere. Well, we've been sort of focused on mainly A really, but the D as well. And then suddenly we've got a B, which jives with none of them, and E, which is also unexpected. A little bit closer to both of them, but still pretty crazy. Also, where have those instruments gone? We've been on the harpsichord for quite a while after an intro that suggested we were going to have a much bigger ensemble overall. It's quite surprising. Okay, well there they are. Yeah, sounds like a very high bassoon, I think. I don't think it's a horn. There's a E. Yeah, so that very high bassoon. Just doing those bits of melody. And we're back to the sort of place we were before with that G minor, yeah, the A with the flat 13, and then back. You could call it an augmented A, maybe A7 augmented, and then back to, yeah. So that G, no, is not a G. Maybe it's a G. Let me just hear again. Lovely, E major. Oh, yeah. No, it's totally different to what I thought. Yeah, okay. It does end on a G actually, but a G7. Major G. We've been playing with G minors so far, so that's a real change of pace. Change of pace is a bit of a joke phrase though, because we haven't really changed pace at all. We've been doing 1, 2, 3, 4 is silent. 1, 2, 3, 4 is silent. The whole way so far. But yeah, so we went something like D minor, C, and then yeah, a G7 on B, I think is what happened there. Yeah, with that high bassoon melody, that's quite an unusual thing. There's still things going on higher than it, but yeah, it has a very individual sound doing that. And we'll hear it one more time. Yeah. Okay, so that's probably more like an A minor. Yeah, and that, well, if it doesn't have a G in, which it might not, then it's sort of more like a B diminished chord, or yeah, well, yeah, a B diminished chord. Okay, did we get a slightly different rhythm there? Let's hear it one more time, shall we? Try and avoid the other stuff. Nope. We just went through that bar of silence. Okay. And then, yeah. We ended up on the E, feeling as a dominant chord, so it doesn't feel like it's as stable as if we ended on that D like we did at the beginning. And then we get ba-da-da, dee-dee-dee, from the harpsichord again. The harpsichord really playing us off here. Does concert Champetre just mean harpsichord concerto? Let me just check that. Yes, it does. Oh, okay. It might not actually mean that. Oh, maybe it does. Yeah, it is a piece by Poulenc. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, the piece alludes to the music of the Baroque period when the harpsichord was a common instrument, both in terms of its melodic and harmonic language and in its structure. It is for this reason... Okay. It is for this reason, as well as the plain influence of Stravinsky's music of the same period, that the concert and its slightly later companion work, the Obad for piano and orchestra, are regarded as neoclassical compositions. Okay, fine. So yeah, neoclassicism was basically the sort of, I want to say postmodern, but it's not really in the postmodern period, appraisal of past periods of music, like the Baroque period and the Renaissance period and the Classical period, and the reintroduction of features of those musics into modern music. So, so taking, say, the structure of a Baroque piece of music, like maybe this is a sonata, which I would say probably began after the no, maybe sonata form was around in the Baroque period. Let's just look that up, shall we? Sonata form. Well, this is just telling me about it, but not the history of it, which I'm shocked by. Yeah, 17th century, okay. '17th century. There you go. So yeah, around the Baroque period, where this kind of thing will have started. So we're outlining our sort of main, I guess, theme, which really is a rhythmic theme more than it's a particular notes theme. We've got some similarities between chord progressions, but really that one da 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 is our main theme that we're getting here. We're getting it a lot. And yeah, we're alternating between a small orchestra type thing and a what do you call it? A harpsichord. I've just said it. Maybe the size of the orchestra will also be similar to Baroque periods because they had many fewer players. They had lots of strings. They didn't really have clarinets, so, and they didn't have horns which were as capable as these ones are, I think. But there we are. I mean, we really wouldn't expect this kind of harmony from Baroque period either. especially that. So we got a do do, and at the same time as it do do do, something like that. So we've got the F sharp at the top, F at the bottom of that D major chord. So it's D major at the top and it's D minor at the bottom, clearing to just like an octave E, I think. Let's hear it one more time. Yeah, that's great. Something like that. Lovely. Yeah, very aggressively discordant all of a sudden. It's not quite that. There's a cooler chord in the middle. Let's work it out. Yeah, it's that. So we get so we've got that bass twice now, with slightly different things happening on the top. Still the same rhythm. Interesting. Again, we've got that. That's more like the Radiohead one, isn't it? But that last chord is actually an A chord with an E in the bass. The E sort of tricks you into thinking it's probably an E chord, but it's not. And we have an E at the top as well, I think. But we have A notes in the middle, A and C sharp. So it sounds quite powerful, but yeah, not finished. And yeah, we're back to playing with sort of G minor and A. Maybe we'll continue with that. No. That A was a dominant chord leading us to D. And this might be a restatement of what we've already heard. But it is. That's how we began. Fantastic. Strong melody, this time with a very clear octave jump. It might have had that the first time, now thinking about it, because we had a doubled high D there. But now we've got this big brassy sound, haven't we? Trumpets and such. Nice. Still got those strings at the bottom. I think they went dum, dum, vum, with a nice long held note for that lowest D. That harmony there is not quite the same as we heard the first time. Yeah. So we got those notes instead. Something like that. First time we got something more like no, sorry, it was a different melody as well, wasn't it? Something more like that. Or yeah. Maybe I think that's right. So that was using the Mixolydian mode with that C there, but I don't think we get that this time. Let's hear it one more time. Yeah, very classic kind of harmony with a little bit of extra, so that A chord is not an A chord. It's a G chord, yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, so I think through both those chords, the only note that isn't in those chords is this one, and that is in the D chord that we finish on, but everything other than that sounds very straightforward. 4, 5, 1, do, 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 do. Nice. And we do actually have the same melody there, but for some reason the second time I remembered it differently. Okay, so now the upper strings have come in, and doesn't everything feel a bit brighter and stronger? But we've got these two lines which are not quite working together. And this something like that. They do fit together, but they feel a little at odds with the rest of the thing that's going on. Yeah, because a lot of the things there are keeping around the D chord, but the new things want to go towards that E chord, E major. Yeah, so you can hear that there's a lot in there doing this D chord, while other things are, yeah, doing a whole D chord. Sorry, E chord. Doing that kind of thing. And that was the first time we got a different rhythm just then. Okay, so maybe we're about to change. It's not breaking the bank with crazy novelty of rhythm there, but it certainly has changed, and it sounds like the harpsichord's about to come back in. And for the first time, timps. Wow, wasn't that an impressive solo from the harpsichord there? We've got octave A's, octave F sharps, and they were doubled shortly later by the timps, smashing out those notes. Yeah, so it's getting thicker because those strings have come in. There aren't as many different voices really. The strings are giving us maybe 4, maybe more, maybe 5, but they're giving us a thick chord by themselves, and then we have some flutes over the top, I think. But I can't hear much of the other ones. Maybe there's some low, like there could be some low bassoon in there. There's a whole thing by Bill Bailey, if you're familiar with who Bill Bailey is. He has a skit to do with an orchestra. He did a whole live thing with an orchestra, and he takes away different parts of the orchestra until only the bassoons remain. And it turns out the whole time they were playing the bass line for Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, and you'd never noticed because the other things in the orchestra have so much more presence than the bassoons. It's a funny joke anyway, and it basically is true. Like in a thick ass texture like this, bassoons are adding thickness but not really anything of their own like voice. And we're getting chords that are sort of based on like, that doesn't feel quite right. Yeah, sort of like a G minor and an A minor. They're more complicated than that though, and that held E between both of them is an example of that. That makes the G minor into a G minor 6. I think we've also got some sort of like maybe a B in the A minor chord. And there, yeah, that step up really makes a difference. That's what it sounds like, but it's not. It's there, isn't it? So we go G minor, A minor, C sharp minor, A tertiary shift. Lovely stuff. Let's hear it one more time. There's our F sharp, and we step up. It's not. That first one is the A minor. Yeah, and then I guess we get something akin to a B minor. Let's hear it again. So there is a low G in that chord. And maybe I just got them the wrong way around. No, yeah, so that's more like an E minor, isn't it? It's E minor with a G in the bass. And then we get that switch. Yeah, to C sharp minor with a low E. So we get this nice walk, sort of walk down. Yeah, that's cool. Those are really nice voicings. You can play around with voicing so much in an orchestra, but it sounds so thick and lush because there's such a heavy string influence on the sound there. Okay, and we had to push it. Poulenc is always pushing things until they sound horrible, but we end up, yeah, with one of those. An E flat 7 minor flat 9, E flat 7, E flat 7, flat 9. Keeping that E on the whole time, right? But when we get to that E flat chord, we have to call it a D sharp chord so that we can preserve that E. That does make more sense than calling it an E flat chord and calling that suddenly an F flat. That's horrible. What a cool little sequence. We've had this before. This change, we had it on G minor to D minor before going to the A there, but this time we move it one further. Firstly with that, which is actually, yeah, still a tertiary shift, but it's a different one to what that's what it was. And then one more, which is so full of tension. What are we gonna do? Forget about it. Yeah, just get out of there with the tritone. Octave A's. This is a lot of chords, isn't it? Not a lot of melody, really. A lot of chords. Okay, so those come in, and then we get a G. So octave A's all the way up here, and then this G minor comes in with that. And then, yeah, the A. So, yeah, interesting. G minor. Yeah, and we get a G minor 7 as well. That F is in there too. So it makes it a 9 with that A. And that A holds for us to resolve into an A chord. A lot of G minor to A stuff, which is lovely. I really do like that. But and that's actually quite a sort of old-fashioned, something you would come across in a classical period. Maybe not the G minor 7. As a passing note, maybe. But yeah, it's still, that's an old style of harmony. Poulenc is such a varied composer, and a certain amount of the time he is playing with completely new ideas in harmony and crazy melodies. Here we've not had really so much of that. We've had that one moment of what what was that? Something like that, where we had the F and the F sharp at the same time. But really, other than that, we haven't had much clashy stuff at all. We've had these really clear consonant harmonies, which nonetheless have been moving a lot. But yeah, we haven't had too much just straightforward modernist dissonance. Really low A there on the harpsichord. By itself as well, it feels really open. You can hear such a clarity of the tone. Everything else fades away. There it is. Yeah, so you can hear like the harmonics, that oh notes, which is that one on the guitar. If I was going to tune this down an octave, you'd hear more close to the actual note. But it's basically like a slightly flat G, which goes in the harmonic series of that low A. Okay, finally we're playing together, albeit for only a moment, and finally we feel like we're actually going allegro. Wow, this is going to drive me crazy. But yeah, we're doing things that we should be. Much faster movement with that harpsichord. Going between D, A, D, A, D, which we've probably got a lot more going on coming up of that. So I'm going to go less into exactnesses of what's going on here and more talk about the sort of changes that are going on. We've still got a kind of 1, 2, 3 stop, 1, 2, 3 feel, but we've got melody to cover over those breaks as well, and yeah, and much more active melody. Yeah, so you can hear that left hand of the harpsichord is doing choppy chords, chop, 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 chop. That kind of thing, while the right hand is doing much more moving melody, that kind of thing. Another repeat. Okay, a repeat that is almost the same, but instead of finishing, actually, let's just hear it one more time just before I say something silly. Yeah, diddle-diddle-doo. So it ends on the A chord there, but the way that we end on the A chord the next time is slightly different. Yeah, so instead we do all the way up there. We do a very similar line. Let's just hear it again. Surely this can't be the same. Oh, it actually is. Yeah, it is. But because the chords are different underneath, it feels so different. Because the first time we get or something like that. This last time we get that E chord there. And the E chord gives us that G sharp, and it makes that da 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 feel like we've actually landed on the first of the chord, first of the key. That isn't the case necessarily, but I think what's likely now is it's going to continue with a sort of second subject in the dominant, but we'll see what happens. Okay, well, sort of. We're now playing with what kind of was our second subject in the first half, wasn't it? We had that stuff on around D or D minor, and then we went to the A, B flat, or A, G minor, A stuff. We're in the same kind of place here, but with more of a flute melody over the top, which is a cool thing to hear. Yeah, some more of the orchestra coming in now. Not too much of the orchestra. Some low strings and that flute is what I can hear. Violas as well, so not the highest strings, but the sort of mid strings. And yeah, that flute is really taking the centre stage when it's on, for those, which is again reminiscent of our melody at the beginning. Not similar so much to the melody that the harpsichord is playing. Although there they both go together for that. Something like that, moving down those chords. And then up just for the last note. Quite cool. Yeah. And then, as that fades out, in come another part of the orchestra. This is a wonderful thing about having an orchestra. You can have the other things reaching for their water. You know, someone's just played a blistering solo and needs to put their hands on ice, or their teeth on ice, or their tongue on ice, or their lips, and the other people can just go, it's okay, I've got you, I'm doing something now. And that's what's happened here. The sort of mid woodwind are coming in, aren't they? Yeah. So that clarinet and oboe pairing. Yeah. With the harpsichord though. The harpsichord is carrying on. As are some pits. I would guess it's probably a cello. It's relatively high. Doing that kind of thing. Yeah, everything's moving quite fast here. Okay. Very different feel all of a sudden. With some hell. Okay, and now we're back in D. We were in A for quite a while there. Let's just check whether we got there at the beginning of that harpsichord bit. Yeah, we basically do. So it just goes straight back to D. Okay. Nice step up by a minor third there. Yeah, so it's sort of got this nice offbeat bass pattern going, something like that. And then, yeah. So imagine how it's going to carry on. Oh, not quite. It only did it for a brief time. Let's hear that in context. There it is. Yeah, just for one bar basically. We go to F and then to E, and then we're straight on to what, A minor? Oh no, we're staying on that E for a while. It's not quite the sudden switch to E that we had in the first section, but it is reminiscent of that. The switch to F though was much more shocking just then, from that D. I suppose that could have a B chord very quickly there. Let's hear it one more time. Yeah, if it does, it's so quick. No, no. And then. So yeah, we were on E for a very short pedal there, but it was there. Yeah, now the texture of the orchestra is changing. Almost every bar we're getting things coming in and leaving, while the harpsichord is really the only thing that is continuous across the sections. Okay, and yeah, then built up, and we're back to sort of A major rather than the A minor-y feel that we've been having just before that. Okay, and now that that melody that we had on the harpsichord with the is now played on some other instruments, I think on the violins, maybe on the flutes as well. Yeah, I think on both of them. Yeah, it's very fast and sort of full of life, that. I don't know. That's as good as I can do. Agility has never been my strong suit. Okay. Let's hear that again. So this is sort of going between D minor and E major. I don't think we had a part like that in the first section. But that particular chord change we've had a lot. That's like the G to the A there, isn't it? So we're just repeating that in a sort of different context, in a different key, but it still is. There's still continuity between the different parts here. Nothing here is like standing out crazily as a completely new thing, apart from when that the whole big orchestra came in and they had that low thing that happened just before the harpsichord took us back to D major, and really that did get repeated with that kind of didn't it? So there's, yeah, everything's getting reused and reappropriated for new feelings here. Okay. So that felt like a very nice A major to begin with a lot of raz, or well, not too much raz, but a lot of horn anyway, giving that high note, quite high for a horn, and then it sort of morphed itself into an unpleasantness. Yeah, so we got that weird da da da. So we got the A, no, so the E hanging on. That's not what's going on, is it? That would be fun if so. A, G minor to E. I don't think that is what it is, but let's hear it one more time. It's definitely an E major at the end there. The G chord, not quite so clear, but let's call it E minor, shall we? Okay. So here we've got more of that kind of bitonal feel that we got a little bit of before, where we've got an A in the bass and a B major chord above it. It's constantly alternating, mainly focused on that B at the top, and the thing that's not alternating is that bass note. That's really thumping out that A as much as it can. Okay, let me just get back to that E. I'm not giving enough note to the texture changes here, but they are strong. Everything is quick to change. We're quickly changing between maybe the horn texture, or horn lead texture, should we say, to string lead textures, to woodwindy ones. We haven't got too much of general percussion here, but we've probably got a few timp hits that I've missed. The only time I can remember hearing the timps is when they did the octave repeat of the harpsichord, and then the harpsichord just takes us off sometimes, doesn't it? Okay, and we've just gone to F unexpectedly again. Now this sounds like but I imagine that's not actually how it's going to go. Yeah, that's good. So where were we? Yeah. Nice. Really unexpected key change, but handled with a deftness that suggests mastery. It's pretty close, isn't it? Really close. Also, sort of different to the rhythmic features we've had thus far. So this feels quite different. That was quite a strong set of chords with a really fun clarinet bit in the middle. This kind of thing. Yeah, something like that. No, it's probably that. And then going to D. Let's see. No. Okay, yeah. Going to A. So it's like an augmented sixth chord. And then it's going. Maybe it's a. Yeah. Well, let's just check and see if it's a French sixth. If it is, Poulenc's playing to stereotype. We're looking for that note. I can't hear it there. Yeah, I can hear the C. I can't hear the B. And then we get to that that A chord with an E in the bass. Boom. With a low, what could it be? Trombone? Maybe a tuba. Boom. Really, really smashing out that note. Okay. And we're basically back to the dominant key, which is A. And we've got a melody. Well, I mean, all these melodies are a little bit throwaway, and that's sort of a thing of Baroque times. I think there's a lot of virtuosity, and that's great. But it doesn't actually make very compelling listening. It makes compelling watching the people doing the things that are hard and making them sound good. Those two things together, but actually them sounding good, they sound good in such a predictable way that it's not actually massively worthwhile, especially by today's standards. It may well have felt a bit different in the olden days. Okay, that was some timps, and that like the most chromatic thing I've heard so far in this piece was just those flutes just then. Let's hear them again. Yeah, and then we get a very fast bum E A, really cementing us again in the A major kind of area. Although those octave A's don't give us a feeling of A major very strong, do they? That might be because actually it's an A minor chord that's played by the harpsichord. Yeah, I think so. Bum bum. So we get bum bum, and then we get this held A minor chord. which we wouldn't expect. Fun. And we also wouldn't expect then suddenly those brass to come back with a C sharp. I mean, I guess it's in our A chord, but we did just play an A minor chord, so is really playing with the false relation there again, C and C sharp. Okay, this feels like it might be the start of the Adagio, but this is new material, so maybe not. Yeah, it's sort of saying that our key now is B flat minor when we just played an A minor chord. That's a bit rude. You're really switching up where we ended for no good reason. Oh, sorry, maybe not. Giving us a little bit of octatonicism, but really what we're looking at there is maybe A flat minor as our new key center. So again, not even close to A minor, except in actual note proximity. The notes being so close means that the keys are actually very far from each other, if that makes sense. Okay, and that melody sort of playing with the idea that it might be a whole tone thing, even though we know all of those notes fit in the melodic minor scale. Fun. Okay, but going on here, have we gone on into A flat minor? That's the question. Get again. C sharp, or that D flat. So we're holding the note we ended on there, which we were thinking is the 7th of the key, and then immediately that D flat comes in. And then it's got this grace note just before it. Yeah, and that. Something like that, a little bit chromatic. Yeah, and well, it's not going against the note that we've got there. It's not saying that's not the key we're in, but the notes, especially that D flat, which we keep ending on, really are quite clashy. Okay, and they've faded away. So now we've just got that harpsichord. Yeah. Sounding a little bit bluesy, I suppose. I know he was a big fan of jazz, as a lot of French people at the time were. What is that chord then? Some kind of B flat minor chord. Pretty much just a B flat diminished dyad, actually, isn't it? But then it goes down to the B flat major with that D. So could that be Lydian mode? Probably not. Yeah, we're not. We're more octatonic than that. Octatonic, if you don't know, is basically an 8-note scale. There aren't many of them, but the classic goes something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we're back to 1. And that seems to be what's going on here. So something absolutely never heard in the Baroque period. Much more a recent invention. So what's that? Is that clarinet? Probably clarinet that's having the melody there, while the harpsichord holds those octave B flats. There's also another instrument holding the B flat, which I guess could be the oboe. Oh no, it's a trumpet. I think it's a trumpet. And then yeah, some fluty, spellbinding-y things going over the top with it. Yeah, that's the highest thing doing that, and then yeah, really holding some kind of diminished tonality here. So yeah, this is a real development of something, isn't it? Okay, so in the first part, in the, let's say, the exposition, there was a lot of play between minor chords and major chords, and here it seems like we're playing with with diminished chords and major chords, which fits a bit better into that octatonic type of thing. I guess you can do minor and major in that as well, but diminished and major works very well, and you can have 2 notes that are going chromatically together in thirds, which is fun. And we've got some absolutely funky rhythms there. Let's hear that again. Yeah, so that it's not too much, but it's just got a little bit of the tango 3-3-2. Yeah, so far we haven't had that much rhythmic play, so it's really nice to hear that happening. Yeah. And some interplay between the trumpet melody there and the backing, which was harpsichord led. They were doing different rhythms, weren't they? Let's hear it again. Yeah, but they come together at the same times, which is really satisfying when you've got 2 things that are syncopated with each other, not working together rhythmically, and then they come together. It's really satisfying. Yeah, good. Oh. Well, that sounds like any kind of EDM melody. That's I don't know. Quite funny to hear here, really. It doesn't seem to have much connection to the harmonic material we've had before. It's not even in octatonic anymore. It's in B minor, and we were in B flat minor, I guess, before, or B flat major, or B flat octatonic. Maybe we're still octatonic here. Yeah, could well be. That feels more just like straightforward, sort of natural minor, though. No, it doesn't. It's like Dorian. Yeah, so it's like we've got B minor, but we've also got C C sharp tonality to go with it. Yeah, it's just that nah. That C sharp there. And maybe it's not then, because we would expect that would be our interesting note. Let's just see if we can hear it again. No, it's not there. When we go up to that C sharp, we just get some held F sharp to go with it. So it doesn't resolve to that C sharp minor chord. So yeah, looking sort of like B minor is what's going on here. And rhythmically it's quite exciting, but notes-wise it's not actually doing that much. We've got a sort of fun diddle-diddle-loop that happens at the beginning. Da, 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 da. Yeah, which is just going up scale and down scale. Not much else to say about that. A little bit messy from the harpsichord there. Don't know if that's actually written in, probably not. Yeah, a little bit of call and response there. The harpsichord goes da 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 da, and then the orchestra goes ba da 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 da, which is fun. Suddenly, just yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Yes, lone horn comes through the texture, and then we get back to harpsichord. Yeah, maybe more Phrygian feeling now, because I think we've got a C in there as well as the B. Yeah, you can hear it going. So yeah, playing with C major and B minor, they work together in the Phrygian mode. We definitely had C sharps before though, so we've sort of darkened the harmony a little bit here. And there's another instrument in as well as the harpsichord. What is it? Flute. Okay, and they join together for a nice bit of a little bit of what felt more like classical harmony for the moment there. Yeah, no, no, no. That's what we get from the bass there. So yeah. No, it can't be that, can it? Yeah, just a little bit of Alberti bass or something similar. Yeah, and even the texture of the harpsichord playing changes there. We've had these da 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 da, and then it just goes da 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 da. It goes all smooth and legato. Yeah, it's like a joke. And then we're back to the C's and the B's. Which is parallel fifths. Go tell your teacher. Yeah, it's just a bit. Yeah. James Bond? Who foresaw that? No one. It is good though. Like before it was absolutely co-opted by John Barry and reified through years and years of such constant references to it in the films. It's that particular bit of chromatic movement on the 5 to the sharp 5 to the 6 to the flat 6, or the flat 6 and the sharp 5 are the same, so think of it either way around you like, but I like to think of it as leading somewhere rather than changing what it already is, if you know what I mean. Yeah, even that, that's basically like the bass of James Bond. We're really, big James Bond vibes. Yeah, another of those joke ends. Da, da, da. What's going on with my top strings? Guess they were just flat. Maybe I keep banging them on them. Yeah, so same kind of things here. It's slower. I wouldn't say it's adagio, really, but it is slower than it was. And it's hard to hear that rhythmic motif that we had at the beginning anywhere in here now. This seems to have, in some ways, devolved into a load of notes. I can't even hear any particular harmonic similarities between the two sections either. Which is it's not the end of the world, but it just means that it feels less secure and less connected to the piece at large. That's very nice, isn't it? Those woodwind floating down like that. And they're going down in sort of chords, aren't they? Something like that. Yeah, it's effective and really fun textural thing. And then there's one part playing off against that, isn't there? Because they're going ba-da, and then when they go ba-da, something else comes in later. Boom, boom. Okay, yeah, so it's between the woodwind doing the doo-doo, 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 and the horns going doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. Let's hear it again. And they go up at the end, doo-doo, and then that gets repeated in the harpsichord. There, in octaves. Okay. G minor. Well, G minor has come up before. Not normally as our root chord, which it feels like now, so that's interesting. Yeah, so more of those choppy kind of relationship with A flat. Maybe it was an A flat there, but it sounded like it. Yeah, it is. So more of this kind of Phrygian feel. 1 flat 2, dum 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 dum. Quite aggressive feeling with the whole orchestra doing it now. But then we get another of those get outs. Okay, so we're sort of developing a identity for this section by itself, rather than as a connection to the first part. We've had that as well before, haven't we? It's quite aggressively not in a key. And there's our James Bond bit. And that is sort of like that one that we got into this section with. That kind of thing. Sort of like that. Not quite, but there's a connection. Oh, very soft. Nice textures there. We've lost most of the brass. We've got a bit of horn, and we've got sort of flute and violin-led stuff, I think. The strings have not been very highly used in this. Okay, G major. No, of course not. Back to B minor. Okay, I don't know if we've heard this. Do, 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 do. Giving us a strong B7. I don't think if we've heard that before. Yeah, everyone's coming in now. We've got tremolo strings going. And we're moving faster. We're really... Are we on a F sharp pedal or a B pedal? B. Ooh. Tension. Okay, not how we expected that tension to stop, but some almost unidentifiable timp hits, and then this high, I think it's an octave above that, dissonance between those two notes. Are those in that? Well, I guess, yeah, the 7 of the B, the A, is there with the G sharp as well. Ugh. And some chromatic descending things. I'm not sure they're exactly chromatic, but they are certainly similar. And then a very sudden change to that last chord, which is E flat minor. New, I guess. What? That's a very different timbre to what we've heard previously on that harpsichord. It feels really like a genuinely different harpsichord, or a different setting, I guess. There's some nice chords though. That's yeah, D minor to A flat major, which is lovely and reminds me of one of the few times that's come up in popular music, which is the beginning of Merryweather Post Pavilion by Animal Collective. You get In the Flowers, which starts with that particular chord sequence. Maybe not in that key, but it's still that chord sequence. Okay, B minor again. Some low brass really farting out those low notes. Oh. The E flat at the bottom. I guess a kind of maybe an A flat minor chord, maybe a G sharp minor chord. No, more complicated than that. But that's simple, that one. Yeah, I think it's pretty much that. D diminished seventh, and then finishing in an E minor, which is unexpected, but I guess could happen. We're not finishing because we have to go to C sharp major, which is a crazy change, but one I'm totally here for. lovely tertiary shift. Tremolo strings again. Very quiet though. You can really hear the noise of the bows more than you can hear the notes. This is very effective. Just those similar notes coming out on the beat for the other instruments. And there comes the harpsichord with more of its classic timbre. Oh, yeah, I tell you what it is. It's that sometimes this harpsichord has the notes in octaves and sometimes it doesn't. And in that particular section, it didn't have the notes in octaves. So the timbre felt much more open and soft. But when we've got that upper octave, you know, it's like those, maybe even with that middle one. When we've got those notes coming out, it sounds so much more biting and aggressive. Okay, we've got like, what, 2.5 minutes of this left, 2 minutes 45. Wow, we've spent a long time talking about this one track. We've made our way back to A minor, which is surprisingly close to where we began. Let's see if we get back to where we began. It's quite a nice melody in itself. Doesn't have much relation to things before it. Yeah, there's A minor 7, really. Yeah, and then that's a D major chord, but with a C in the bass. So we are really close, really close. More A minor 7. Yeah, really showing us that F sharp there. Ooh, it's tantalizing. And the tension in the length, really reminiscent of the beginning, just in that length. It doesn't quite work in the same way. Very nice little bit of squealy, I think, piccolo up at the top, isn't it? We haven't had too much of that. There it is. Okay, yeah, and it had to be dashed down to the G sharp. That's how we started this second section. Well, sorry, plate. Yeah, aggressive semitone dissonance. Almost a kick in the face, really, is what's going on there. Yeah. Switching the note in the middle between the higher one and the lower one. So really playing with your expectation there. And softening. Yeah, very woody and horny section there. It's in the words. I can't help what the words are. Yeah. Feels very like an augmented 6th chord, but it could just be a dominant 7th chord. On that F chord. Are we going to move down to E, like we have done occasionally? Or is that going to be a red herring, like it has been often? Yeah. Back to A major, and we're doing something very similar to that, I guess, second section, which we could consider our exposition, really, but it was in D major rather than in A major, so we're still in the dominant. Maybe we'll make it back to D major one day. Oh, it's not today, anyway. Yeah, that's more like a... What? Yeah, it's like an F chord on A now. So that bum 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 is another thing that is sort of like what happened in the first section, but just slightly wrong. We had that moving down bass line, didn't we? And I guess da 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 is not too complicated a melodic fragment, so it might just be a coincidence. But yeah, there's a connection, I guess. There we go. Yes. Push it until it all falls off, and then just pretend like that never happened. Big A chord. Yeah, and then basically an F chord again with an A in the bass, and then we go to the D. So yeah, sudden. It feels very sudden and unexpected and fun. And this is very, very much the same thing that we had at the beginning of that exposition. Yeah, playing with the G minorness and the A minorness, just like we did before. Those flute bits as well, the same as they were. Okay, that feels a little bit different, but still kind of the same thing. Yes, it's just in a different key. So before that happened in the A part. Wasn't it? It was basically that. And now it's happening in the D section. Something like that. Okay, same bitonal kind of thing. Yeah, it's not really bitonal because there's only one moving part, but yeah, getting that Lydian mode feel, if you like, over here. You can give me a song to listen through a link, Killer Caveman, but I'm not going to do it today because I'm almost finished. But I'll have a listen, definitely. Yeah, we're going E to D, just like we were doing in the previous one with B to A. So we've moved those kind of dominant key focused things into the tonic key now, even though they're not actually in the tonic key. We've moved them up there, and so it feels closer to home, I guess, than it did the first time it came around. Okay. There's our bump up. What is that? I don't know what it is, but it comes up all the time. It's a very famous piece of music. Oh, yes, I do. It's Eine kleine Nacht music, isn't it? So there's that kind of feel again. Last time that was in F. Where is it this time? B flat. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that's the same relationship. A to F is down like that, and D to B flat is like that. And they're a minor third lower, both. A major third lower both times. Again, getting back to D here, and we've only got the highest octave of that harpsichord now, so it's really tinkly sounding. Oh, isn't that so sweet? There comes in the lower one. Quite dark. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of that rhythmic stuff from the middle section now, like a coda on this, not keeping perfectly to the exposition here. It's a recapitulation with some extra stuff. That's a fun little thing, and I did not do it exactly right there. And sort of back in D minor, which we were right at the beginning. Let's see if we stick there. That's really good. So we got that up at the top. Yeah, D, I guess. And then it sort of goes to D and C sharp and D and C and back to D. Is it that? That doesn't sound quite right. Let's hear it again. Yeah, so again, looking a bit octatonic around here. Oh, it's a trash ending. It's a trash, old, stupid, classical ending of 1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1-5-1. But we did at least have some squealy piccolo at the top, so that's fun. Sounds to me like a Hendrix chord just to end, and obviously this was written before Hendrix. Let's just hear it again. It could just be minor, but I think there's a little hint of major in there. One more time. Yeah, it could just be minor. And then with, aggressively D minor from the orchestra. Fun. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's a piece of music, isn't it? There's solid music going through all of that. It's really heavily music-based music. Trying to do as much music as it can. It's got a lot of rules. It's got a lot of deliberate choices, but then also there are things that are quite hard to understand if you have that as your framework. If you have the idea that everything has a reason, everything has a deliberate choice, it's quite hard to understand why we have the deviations to F major and B flat major, and then why the development goes quite so crazy and all over the place and develops its own material. It's not easy to explain that away, really, other than to go, the composer decided at this point to have some fun, or to do something that worked not on a academic, cerebral level, but more on an emotional level, or more on a sort of referential level. I think there are definite parts of this that are deliberately referential to other music, which is cool. It's not something I particularly like doing myself, but it is something that people have done either deliberately or by accident through the written word. As long as we've had music, there have been people imitating each other musically, and I don't think it's anything really that makes sense to shy away from. I try and do it more as a subconscious thing. I know it's getting out in the subconscious, and so I don't particularly care to do it deliberately, consciously. But it feels like there are things in this which are deliberate, conscious decisions to emulate pieces of music, like Eine kleine Nacht music, for instance. And those bits, they come off, to me, as a joke. Maybe they're intended more seriously, but I think what really is intended there is to keep the excitement up through the piece, rather than just trying to rely on the excitement coming from everyone's pallid, candid interest in the music, as is, just music being music. I think probably it makes a lot of sense that he's, he's a canny entertainer who is not here just to create something that is meant to be studied in conservatoires. He's making something that's meant to be enjoyed, albeit by a particular kind of person. And yeah, I would say he's succeeded here. That was pretty fun. Well, a relatively short one today, but nonetheless, super exciting, no? Didn't we have fun? Wasn't it quite different to usual? Because we really genuinely just went through one movement of one piece of music. 10 minutes of music took us 2 hours or 1 hour 45 to go through. That is quite ridiculous, but that is how it happened. And I, for one, am very happy that it did. I hope you have a lovely day. And I hope you have a lovely life.